Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 best-selling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourselves naturally. Now, we've got a special guest today, me. I'm going to be sharing with you about a topic near and dear to my heart, and hopefully it will be incredibly helpful for you. I'm going to be sharing with you today how to become strong enough to handle being a highly sensitive person. Now, first of all, what exactly is a highly sensitive person? The acronym for this is HSP. So a highly sensitive person is someone who simply feels deeply. We feel our own emotions very deeply, and also we pick up and feel the energy and emotions of other people, our families, the world around us, and even planetary energies. So if you are a highly sensitive person, you may also consider yourself to be an empath. That's a HSP is an empath, and an empath is an HSP. So I'd like to start this talk with a quote from the sage Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti said, "The people who are sensitive in life may suffer much more than those who are insensitive. But if they understand and go beyond their suffering, they will discover extraordinary things." Now, I can remember years ago when I was really young, I had terrible depression. I thought I'd never overcome my depression. And I remember going to lunch with some of my friends, and they were trying to boost me up. And they're like, "Yeah, but you're so talented." And I'm like, "I just want to be a normal person." So if you are an HSP and you have been feeling very intensely your whole life and really longing to be normal, whatever that is, I always joke normal is just a setting on the washing machine. Well, good luck with that. But if you learn how to handle your sensitivity in ways that I'm going to be sharing with you, you can use your sensitivity for yourself for the highest good of all. Now, you may notice yourself feeling especially affected by violence. I have a really hard time watching any violence, whether it's in movies or actual violence videos, cruelty, racism, prejudice, wars, or the negative emotions of people around you. It's very hard for us HSP people to see these things. Extremely sensitive people are known as empaths. If you're a highly sensitive person, you have to become strong enough to handle your sensitivity, or you may find yourself becoming physically, mentally, or spiritually sick. So you may have anxiety, you may have depression. I definitely suffered from depression for decades. You may be physically ill. You may feel like, "I'm afraid to leave my house," and that is not the solution. I understand this predicament extremely well. Being a medical intuitive healer, I could not do what I do at the level that I do it if I wasn't extremely sensitive. I'm able to feel the pain other people feel. I'm able to see incidents from their past and present. I may hear unkind words that have been spoken to them and know why, how, and where they are suffering. I may be talking to them and they ask me about their child or their parent, and I know and feel intensely what is going on. So I literally could not do what I do at the level I do it unless I was exquisitely sensitive. But here's my point, before you can use your strength and your gifts as a highly sensitive person, you've got to learn how to be able to manage this energy better so that you don't go crazy, you don't feel overwhelmed, so that you can function in the real world with normal people and enjoy your life. In the past, processing this tremendous amount of energy and emotion overwhelmed me. I'll never forget, I was describing this to someone and I said, it's like you stick your finger in a light socket and it's like 1,000 volts of electricity going through an ordinary light socket. It can be extremely overwhelming. So I experienced physical, mental, and spiritual pain as a result of all this. Indeed, I have spent decades learning how to function while also using my sensitivity for the benefit of myself and others. So now at age 63, I'm more grounded. I've learned how to handle it better. So it's my hope by sharing this information, it will help you to be able to function, and not just function, but feel good in your body in this lifetime. So if you recognize that you're also a highly sensitive person, I've got some suggestions for you about how you can handle your sensitivity better. And I'm going to start this talk by giving you the highlights, and then I'm going to explain to you these details in specific specificity. Okay, ground your energy to the earth. Recognize that all living beings have free will. Understand that you cannot know, nor will you ever truly know, another person's spiritual path. Be the lighthouse. Connect to spirit throughout the day. Let go of perceived wrongs. Set your intention to serve God for the highest good of all. Listen to your angels daily. Cocoon yourself. Recognize that everyone and everything, including you, has a shadow, and you'll never get rid of your shadow. Choose to live in the light. Recognize when you're operating out of your pain body. Repeat forgiveness mantras. Clear your energy and your home's energy regularly. Be the space that love flows through. Be still and know that I am God. Invoke the shield of Archangel Michael. Okay, now those are the headlines. So you may go, okay, I'm listening to you, and what does that all mean? So I'm going to drill down into the details. So grounding yourself to the earth. So if you think about yourself as a receptacle for spiritual information, and it is my experience and understanding, not that I know anything, that you are a soul having a human experience. And when you're a highly sensitive person, you may receive a tremendous amount of intuitive information. You have to be grounded in order to receive this information. So a good visual for this is a lightning bolt striking a house. If the house is not grounded, it's going to have a problem. You're going to blow your circuits, literally. So when you're grounded, you're connected to your body and deeply rooted into the earth itself. So if you think about a tree, I'll never forget when I was studying medical intuition, the person who was training me said, don't even bother to go up. Your energy is so pulled up. You need to ground. So many of us do really well with using a meditation technique where you visualize yourself as a true tree, literally rooting to the earth. A tree that has strong roots can sway in the wind. You can go with the flow. When you're not grounded to the earth or deeply connected to your body, your energy, and your own emotions, then you can be overwhelmed and shift all over the place from moment to moment, depending on what other people are feeling around you. So what are some things that help you to ground yourself? Spending time in nature. I love love gardening, walking barefoot. And again, in meditation, visualize yourself as a tree and imagine growing deep roots. Okay, so many highly sensitive people, they're disconnected from the earth, and you're actually safer being in your body, being connected to the earth. And other practices that help with grounding, playing drums, doing activities where you're connecting to your body. I personally need to exercise every day, walking, feeling your feet. Now, the next thing that you can do to do a better job of handling being a highly sensitive person is to recognize that all living beings have free will. So I remember years ago, there was a drought in Atlanta one summer, and I live in Atlanta. I literally felt all the trees and shrubs dying. It was a very hard summer for me because I could walk around and feel, literally feel what was happening. At the end of the summer, I consulted a few spiritual friends, and they reminded me that all living beings have free will. So when we think of the precious souls who lost their lives in the Twin Towers here in the United States on 9/11, we have to remind ourselves that perhaps their souls chose to make a journey out of their body that day. So allow all living beings around you to follow their own soul path. And often when we're a highly sensitive person and we sense other people's pain and suffering, we can literally feel that suffering. And inside ourselves, we think, why are they doing that? Why are they going through so much pain and suffering? And realize that you don't have to understand it. And when you try and understand someone's pain and suffering, what you literally do is you run their energy through your body. And that's toxic for you. And so you don't have to understand it. You don't have to agree with the choices they make. But when you recognize that all living beings have free will and allow them to have their own soul experience without needing to take on their pain and suffering, it'll be much easier for you. And, you know, as highly sensitive people, we all fall into traps. And for me, I always want to understand everything. I'm so curious. It's like, why are they doing that? What are they doing? And I have to catch myself and just step back and remind myself, I don't have to understand it. I don't have to agree with it. I just have to realize that their soul has a free will and they're doing their life in the way they are meant to do. Which brings me to my next comment. Understand that you cannot know another person's spiritual path. So a lot of us think, oh, I'm so smart. I know everything. I've read all these spiritual books. I think I'm so evolved, yada, yada, yada. Because your soul journey is different from mine. It's not my place to judge how you are living your life. The more that we can trust other people's spiritual path, the more we can find peace inside ourselves. Now, I realize that this is easier said than done. So for example, I'm thinking about a friend of mine, and one of his loved ones is working on recovering from addiction, from drug addiction. And my friend is going through a tremendous amount of angst, a lot of pain and suffering. And again, we have to literally let go, which is easier said than done, and honor there may be some reason that that person has to go through a particular challenge. The greatest healers I personally have ever met have gone through incredible pain and suffering, which is part of what makes them really good as healers. So the more that we honor another person's spiritual path, the more that we can really know at a deep level, there is nothing for us to fix. There's nothing for us to correct. There's nothing for us to preach about. Like, I think you should do it this way, my way, warn about or prohibit. Other people are simply living out their own karma, just as you and I are living out our own. So again, this is easier said than done, but step back and realize that you don't have to understand it. You just have to honor it. So another thing that you can do to do a better job of handling being a highly sensitive person is to be the lighthouse. So I'm going to give you a visual. If you think about a lighthouse is grounded to the earth. Lighthouses don't move around. There's not wheels on a lighthouse. If you've ever been to a lighthouse, they're on a solitary point, and they're usually on a beach on the edge of the earth someplace, and it's shining light out into the ocean. As you practice grounding yourself to the earth, you can shine your light so that other people can find their way. Now, lighthouses don't go in and out with the tide. They don't go up and down with other people's emotions or their own emotions. You just stay steady in yourself and you shine from the depths of your soul, being the best that you can be. Your example will speak more strongly than any words that you can ever speak. So again, if you're having trouble as a highly sensitive person, just really connect with the visual image of seeing yourself as a lighthouse, and realize you may not even know the people or the souls that you are guiding by your own example. And again, when you're the lighthouse, you're not fixing anything, you're not preaching, you're just being and staying grounded in your own light. And with this, let's take a break and listen to a message from one of our commercial sponsors at UK Health Radio, and I'll be right back with you to talk more about how to handle being a highly sensitive person. So I'm Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 bestselling author, here talking to you today about how to be strong enough to handle being a highly sensitive person. So one of the things that really helps is spiritual strength. We can go to the gym and lift weights and become physically strong, and that's great. Helps you to have a healthy body. I certainly do that. And we can also connect to spirit throughout the day to become spiritually strong. Because you are a soul having a human experience, if you take your time to connect with your soul throughout your day, saying little prayers, taking time to meditate for a few minutes here and there, talking to your angels and so on, you can stay out of the tumult of other people's energy and emotions. So I wrote an article a long time ago about the inner habit of prayer. My personal mantra is the Lord's Prayer. If you think about sacred mantras, and I'm going to use the Lord's Prayer as an example, it's very high frequency words. As T.S. Eliot said, prayer is more than an order of words. So when you pray throughout the day, you're setting your intention to connect from your soul up to divine guidance, to listen to God, to listen to your higher self, to receive wisdom, and to affirm that God's will, not my will, be done. And when you're putting yourself in this frequency throughout the day, it helps to give you a tremendous spiritual strength so that, again, you stay out of the storm of other people's energy and what's going on in the world or even the planet. Another thing that we can do to become strong enough to handle being a highly sensitive person is to let go of perceived wrongs, but both those supposedly done to ourselves or other people. So let's talk about this for a moment. So when I judge something as wrong, I'm going into my ego. Now, what is my ego? An ego is an aspect of my mind. And again, as I said, I am a soul, you are a soul having a human experience, and your soul controls your mind. So when my judgment goes in, I don't like that. We've all had that experience. I didn't like that happened to me, right? Or I don't like that that's happening to other people, or I don't like that that's happening in the world. When we go into judgment, we're judging something as wrong. And trust me, I can remember years ago seeing a photograph of animal abuse on social media, and it took me literally a week of meditation to get over. So when you're a highly sensitive person and we see these things and we judge them, it can really emblazon deep hurt inside of us. So it's so easy to fall into labeling everything and everywhere around us as right or wrong or good or bad. And whether you're watching the news, it's like, that's wrong, I'm really mad about it. I fall into that trap all the time. I'm addicted to the news. It's one of my many bad habits. And so our mind goes crazy, labeling everything as good or wrong. And but when we really step back, we have to understand the soul agreements that people have with each other, or even groups of people may have with each other, or even entire countries or geographic locations. What is this soul agreement that people have? And why this person abused that other person, why this person thinks they can get away with lying, cheating, or stealing. And we have to remember that on the soul level, some of the people in our lives who we consider our greatest enemies, the worst perpetrators, at the soul level, they may be our actually best friends. They may be teaching us forgiveness, humility, or some other important spiritual lesson. And again, this goes back to what I said earlier. And it's a reminder to me every day, I don't have to understand everything. I can simply choose to stop labeling everything and everyone by by stopping this habit of judging and labeling things as good or bad. It helps us to stay out of the suffering. And the spiritual book, A Course in Miracles, talks about this. It begins, if you study the workbook, by helping you see that everything that you see in the world, you've labeled. Like, what is a table? A table it's a concept that you have, and how you feel about the table and what you think happened to the table. So our habit of judging and labeling is so natural to us as humans. And some of us who consider ourselves highly intelligent are some of the worst at this, because we think we know. We think we know what something is. We think we know why something is happening. And yet, on the truly soul level, you may not have all of the information. You may have part of the information, but not all of the information. So letting go of perceived wrongs, both those supposedly done against us or others. And if you don't understand how you do this, you can journal about what is your victim perpetrator story. If you made a list of everyone who you think you've been a victim of, that can be a truly eye-opening experience. So another thing that you can do to do a better job to be strong enough to handle being a highly sensitive person is set your intention to serve God for the highest good. Now, this is very interesting. I am a great fan of the work of Dr. David Hawkins, author of Power versus Force. And my little poopy ego, I may think I'm smart. I may think, oh, I know so much about this and that. But divine will has a frequency that is much stronger than any energy that I personally can carry. And when you set your intention to align your will, this is your willpower, your ego, with divine will, you can begin to trust that everything happens for a reason, not only, again, something that you understand, but everything that happens is for your highest good, and for the highest good and benefit of all living beings around you. So remember what I was saying about every great healer that I've ever met has gone through incredible challenges. I remember years ago meeting a healer friend from Finland. She was Finnish. And when I looked at her energetically, I could see that years ago, she'd even fallen through a plate glass window. And again, it was like, oh my goodness. So I'm sure she didn't enjoy that experience, but perhaps she had to have that experience so that she could learn certain qualities. And it may be days, weeks, or even years later before something makes sense to you. And we've all had that happen, where something supposedly bad happens. And in the moment, you're like, wow, this is horrible. I can hardly get through the day because of what's happening yesterday, and I'm just so overwhelmed. But when you get your ego mind out of the way and allow your soul to be divinely guided, then the bumps in the road become a little bit easier to manage. Now, the next thing that you can do to become strong enough to handle being a highly sensitive person is to listen to your angels daily. So because you are a soul having a human experience, you have angels. You have also known as spiritual guides. You have a team of angels who've been with you since the day you were born. They love you unconditionally. They love you no matter what. They understand your soul purpose, and they are here to guide you and protect you. So if you think about your angels are people who are, they're not people, they're spiritual beings who are already very good at doing what you are here to do. So I have angels around me. I know where they are. I know each angel and what it's here to do. For example, I have an angel on my right arm, and it's an angel of perception. It's here to help me really perceive the world around me. I have an angel at the back of my head peeling, and that angel is here to help me peel away the facade so that when I'm doing a medical intuitive reading, I can see the truth and about what's really going on with a person, with their past, with their health. So when you listen to your angels every day, you can receive divine guidance. And again, this is a process that entails getting your ego out of the way and allowing yourself to be spiritually guided so that you are in the right place at the right time. So I can tell you all kinds of stories that might put the hair on the back of your head straight up, where my angels told me not to be in certain places, and it ended up literally saving my life. So another thing you can do to be strong enough to handle being a highly sensitive person is to cocoon yourself daily. So how do you cocoon yourself? I'm going to give you an overview, and then I'll talk about the details. So when you cocoon yourself, you clear your energy. So those of us who are highly sensitive, who pick up the energy and our emotions of everyone and everything around us, sometimes our energy may not be clear. So what I do is I rub my hands together, I gather chi, I pass them over my head, and I set my intention to clear my energy. Now, once you've cleared your energy, then you bubble yourself. You visualize yourself and surrounded by a white light of protection. Around the white light, you visualize the blue light of healing. And then around that, you surround yourself with the golden light of transformation. Now, when you cocoon yourself, what that does is it keeps you in your own energy, and it will keep you out of other people's energy. So you stop the habit of processing other people's energy and emotions. So you stop being overwhelmed by the energy of everyone and everything around you. And it'll be very, very helpful for you to stay centered. Now, another thing you can do to handle and be strong enough to handle being a highly sensitive person is to recognize that everyone and everything around you has a shadow. Now, it's interesting to me because some people look at the worst in everyone, other people look at the best in everyone. And when I'm doing medical intuitive readings and as a person and in my work, I always see everyone's highest potential. So what is your shadow? Your shadow is the unprocessed aspect of your ego. So everyone has a shadow. You'll never get rid of it. It's part of being human. Because you and other people around you are human beings, we all have an ego. My mother put it really well. She said, everyone has feet of clay. In other words, everybody has parts of yourself that maybe you don't feel good about, that you're trying to hide or even trying to resolve, but maybe you're not so proud of. The negative aspect of our ego is called our shadow. And so a really simple thing is, again, to have compassion for that, because other people have a shadow, you do too. And there's a really simple little energy healing technique. I wrote about it, about how to get your shadow out of your way, So I'm going to take off my glasses to demonstrate this. So what you do is you draw a circle on your left temple. So for those of you who are listening and can't see, right next to my eyebrow, I'm drawing this circle, and then I'm putting an X through that. So you draw the circle, it doesn't matter which direction you draw this little circle, you put the X through it, and that's an energy healing technique that allows you to set your shadow out aside. It's like take a hike, sit over there in the corner, and allow your higher self to guide your day. So that's going to help you tremendously. Now, with that, hang in there with me, and we're going to take another commercial break to listen to a sponsor for UK Health Radio, and I'll be right back talking to you about how to become strong enough to handle being a highly sensitive person. So this is Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 bestselling author, and I'm talking to you today about how to become strong enough to handle being a highly sensitive person. So another thing that you can do is to choose to live in the light. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, put it really simply. The only way to live in the light is to know where your shadow is. So I just talked about how everybody's got a shadow. Everybody has feet of clay. And when you're aware of that, where your shadow is, what your shadow is up to, you can make a conscious choice to live in the light. As you compassionately understand your own shadow and recognize when other people are operating from their shadow selves, you can make a conscious choice to live from the light of your own soul. So it allows you to, again, to stay out of that habit of judgment, to stop labeling other people as bad, because everybody's got a shadow. So, and if you notice, there's a theme to what I'm saying, and there's different techniques, but at the end of the day, it's all of the same mindset. So choosing to live in the light. Now, recognize another thing you can do to handle being a highly sensitive person is to recognize when you're operating out of your pain body. So what is your light body? Your light body is the radiance of your soul. So your light body is beautiful. What is your pain body? Your pain body is simply the unprocessed emotional baggage that you've been carrying around from all of your perceived hurts. So your pain body is the part of your energy field where you store physical pain and emotional suffering. Just like your shadow, trust me, you have one. You're living from your pain body when you focus your mind on everything that hurts. And I'm talking physically, mentally, or spiritually. And when you look out into the world and you see this is wrong, that shouldn't be happening, those groups of people shouldn't be suffering in the way they're suffering, those people shouldn't do that, the government should do things the way you think, you're operating out of your pain body. Although we all go there sometimes, and again, I can get wound up about politics or how I think certain wars should or shouldn't be happening. You don't want, we all go there sometimes, but you don't want to live out of your pain body, because simply put, when you're operating out of your pain body, you become a magnet resonating with the pain all around you. So if you think about a magnet, what does it do? It attracts. So when you are operating out of your pain body, you attract more pain into your energy field. So rather than helping yourself or others, the more you focus on your own pain or the suffering of others, the more pain simply expands. So one of the things that we know is that whatever you focus on expands. So when I think about so-called problems, when I think about what I think is wrong in the world, I'm simply magnifying that. And it doesn't mean that we have a Pollyannish attitude. It means another way of doing it is for me to ground my energy to the earth, connect to the divine so that I can receive divine guidance. And then from my heart and soul, literally radiating out into the world, all that I am, all that I'm here to offer, my kindness, all the spiritual qualities that I am here to share with others. So another great way to handle being a highly sensitive person is to repeat forgiveness mantras. So again, when we realize that when I go around labeling, this is good, this is bad, that's wrong, that's right, those are bad people, these are good people, I'm judging. And forgiveness mantras are incredibly powerful. Forgiveness is one of the simplest healing techniques you can do. You can use Ho'oponopono, and a really simple one is, I'm so sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. That's Ho'oponopono. And when you recognize that you've gone into a judgment against yourself or another person, organization, country, institution, you can begin to clear the negativity between you by repeating forgiveness mantras. And I liken forgiveness to vacuuming. I may have vacuumed last week. I may have vacuumed yesterday, and I may need to do it again. If you read the Bible at all, you can recall that Jesus said, somebody asked him how often you should forgive, 70 times 7. In other words, never stop forgiving. Just like vacuuming your house, you're never really done. So forgiveness mantra is incredibly powerful. And when we realize that we've gotten caught up into the drama of judgment. So another thing you can do to handle being strong enough to be a highly sensitive person is to clear your energy regularly. So whenever you notice that you're especially weighed down by pain and suffering, you can clear your energy. And I talked about this earlier when I talked about cocooning. A simple way to do this is to rub your hands together, gather chi, and then pass your hands over your head, setting your intention to clear your energy. So I grew up in the Christian tradition. What I actually say is I clear my energy in the name of God the Father. I clear my energy in the name of Jesus the Son. I clear my energy in the name of the Holy Ghost. So I'm calling on higher spiritual beings to assist me. And as I do that, I clear and release away any unwanted negativity. You can also, in addition to clearing your own energy, you may notice you need to clear the energy in your space. And when I'm clearing the energy in a space, and it takes energy to clear energy, I use my dominant hand, so I'm right-handed. I point to the corners of a room, and I circle Counterclockwise clears energy, clockwise infuses energy. And I say a prayer: Heavenly Father, I call on the forces of nature to converge, to balance all detrimental energies and increase all beneficial energies in this healing space for the benefit of all living beings. And I ask this to be done in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. So we call on the forces of nature to balance the detrimental energies. And I don't use the word negative and positive because there's yin and yang, and yin is not bad. So we want to balance the detrimental energies and increase the beneficial energies. So you clear your own self, and clearing the energy in your house or a room, your living space, your office space can help you be able to cope and much more easily. Which brings me to the next comment: be the space that love flows through. So I'm a longtime yoga teacher. At age 63, I still teach yoga 8 times a week. And years ago, I had the privilege of taking not just 1, but 2 yoga teacher trainings with a wonderful yoga teacher, Eric Schiffman. One of Eric Schiffman's favorite saying was, be the space that love flows through. It's good for others and good for you. I really love that affirmation. And another great affirmation, or another way of saying it, is nothing comes in and nothing goes out except unconditional love. If all you do is, all you ever do is give or receive unconditional love, you're not going to be just good, you're going to be wonderful. So in order to be that space where love flows through, especially unconditional love, again, we let go of the habit of judgment. We let go of the habit of labeling people and events as wrong or good or bad. And we just focus on being that place where that frequency of love can flow through for the highest good of ourselves and everyone around us. The Bible says in Psalm 46:10, he says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. So there are times when we feel overwhelmed by energy and emotions. Again, whether it's our feelings or the energy and emotion of other people around us or the world. But when we simply take time to be still and feel our deep connection with the God within, when we take time to literally be still and know that I am a God, then we can just let go of the drama. We can let go of the chaos. We can let go of the energy that has been disrupting our well-being on all levels. Be still and know that I'm God. And invoke the shield of Archangel Michael. So when I was writing my 10th book, Reading the Soul, I woke up every morning and prayed and meditated with Archangel Michael. By meditating with Archangel Michael, I was able to write Reading the Soul in a whole month, the fastest book I've ever written. Archangel Michael is known as the leader of all angels. And what you do is you visualize his shining sword and surround yourself with cobalt blue, which is the healing light of Archangel Michael, and visualize his shield all around you. So if you feel threatened or unsure of yourself for any reason, when you call on Archangel Michael and visualize his shield around you, it will help you to stay in your spiritual center, knowing that you can handle whatever has been put in front of you. So if you recognize that you are a highly sensitive person, realize that you have been gifted. So just like someone's given you a present, your gifts are of course for you, for yourself, but they're also for the highest good of all. When you connect to your purpose for the reason that you were born, to the qualities and strengths that you and you alone are here to share, you can develop the courage to go out into the world fearlessly and say what you and you alone are here to say, and to do and be what you and you alone are here to do and be. So you never know who you're here for, even if it's for one person. Your sole purpose, when you connect to that, can give you tremendous strength. So as we conclude our talk, I want to quote the poet Rumi, one of my favorite poets. He says, in a night full of dark, pain and darkness, be a candle spreading light until dawn. So when you realize that you're a highly sensitive person, you have these gifts, you are here to use them for yourself and for others. And when you see yourself as a candle spreading light until dawn, you can develop the strength to handle being a highly sensitive person and to use your gifts for the highest good of everyone. As you take time throughout your day to practice shielding your own energy and staying out of pain and suffering, staying out of the drama, staying out of the chaos, you can maintain your own inner peace while using your sensitivity to discern what's really going on with the world around you. And in doing so, you will feel less fragile, more centered, and better capable of using your innate sensitivity as a useful tool. Okay. I always say being a highly sensitive person is like owning a Ferrari. If you don't know how to handle it, you can get into trouble in a hurry. But when you learn how to handle your sensitivity, you can use it as a tremendous gift. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 best-selling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. And remember that if you are a highly sensitive person, you don't need to shy away. You don't need to hide in your house. You don't need to stay depressed and anxious. You can develop the strength to be who you are and do what you and you alone are meant to do here on earth during your lifetime. And when you do this, healing happens naturally. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.